Marjorie Taylor Greene got a thorough dressing down in a meeting about women's sports.
Mr. Leifelt, do you think your perception of what constitutes a safe environment for women is more valid than that of a woman testifying here today?
Congresswoman, thank you for your question. There was a study that was published in 2010 regarding the safety of sports in the Olympic movement. There were 51 sports that were assessed as part of that study.
That's a yes or no question, Mr. Leifelt. Is that your perception? You're sitting next to a young woman who received a brain injury from a biological male. Is it safe to compete against biological males? Yes or no, Mr. Leifelt?
What happened to Miss?
Yes or no?
What happened to Miss McNabb?
I'll take that as a no. Mr. Leifelt, do you think forcing a woman to change in front of a man in a locker room is abusive? Yes or no?
Congresswoman, I'm not sure I
Do
follow
you
the
want your
question.
daughter to change in front of biological men in locker rooms? Yes or no?
My daughter isn't really something that should be part of this hearing, respectfully.
If you're not a quick no on that, we're going to take that as a no. We're going to switch gears to USA Fencing site selection policy. You're the chair of USA Fencing. You should be familiar. Mr. Leifelt, what does abortion have to do with fencing?
Congresswoman, that policy was passed before I got on the board. However, when
you're the chair of the board now, what does abortion have to do with fencing, Mr. Leifelt?
I'm on the board, you're correct, and I offered an amendment to that policy back in December, Congresswoman, that allowed for more flexibility at the city level.
To get an abortion while you're at fencing competitions?
And it also allowed for better convenience. So we enhanced the policy
more
under my
convenience
leadership
to Planned Parenthood centers. Mr. Leifelt, why does USA Fencing states abortion policies and LGBTQ policies in its site selection process to determine where tournaments are held? That's part of your site selection process, is abortion availability and states and cities that are friendly to LGBTQ policies. How is that part of USA Fencing?
Congresswoman, we try to have tournaments in sites that are safe for all of our members, period.
So you don't think red states are safe for fencing athletes?
Red states are absolutely safe, and we regularly host tournaments there, including Texas, Ohio, Missouri.
No, your site selection policies are based on abortion availability and LGBTQ availability, not on fencing, not on your sport. Now let's go a little bit further with this.
Madam Chairwoman, your time has expired.
You're not recognized, Ms. Crockett. Mr. Leifelt, you wrote a blog post where you said that one day your daughter
Madam Chair, on a point of order.
This is my time, and I'm the chair of the committee.
No, that was your time. Your time is over, and now we're asking,
The chair has discretion to assign time.
I've lost time. I have lost time.
As long as we have that understanding, that's fine.
I've lost time.
I yield 2.5 minutes to the chair lady.
Mr. Leifelt, you wrote a blog post where you said that one day your daughter might compete against a transgender woman, a biological man. You said that if she did, you might win or she might lose. But whatever the result, you hope she doesn't care about the outcome, because the important thing is that both she and her opponent enjoy the match. That's what you wrote in your little trans manifesto. But you came here today to win. And you came here today to defeat women in their own sport. So as you stand here before this committee today, you are a man that would tell your daughter to lose and enjoy it to a biological man. My time has expired, and with that, I recognize Ms. Stansbury to defend all the trans.
Point of order. Out of curiosity, is the chairwoman allowed to editorialize before every speaker on the Democratic side speaks, or is that part of her time, which we know that she went over?
It's not a point of order. You're taking Ms. Stansbury's time. I know you're trying to be chair of oversight, but Ms. Stansbury is the ranking member.
Chair would be better on this side. I do agree with that.
It's Ms. Stansbury's time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you can see, this is a hearing full of performance artists, not legislators. To our witnesses and guests, I do appreciate you coming today, but this is not the venue for this conversation, and our colleagues know that across the aisle. That is part of why the distraction of the gaveling and the yelling and the performance art is happening here today, because this is not an oversight hearing. This is not what the jurisdiction of the Oversight Committee is. And the chairman and the chairwoman both know that. And they both know that a little over 100 days ago, when Republicans were clamoring to show Donald Trump and Elon Musk that they were going to carry their water here in Congress, they created this subcommittee to do Elon Musk's bidding. But now that he is so unpopular, that 2/3 of Americans are opposed to Doge and Elon Musk, the honeymoon is over, my friends. And so what are they doing with the Doge subcommittee? They're bullying trans kids. They're talking about things that have absolutely nothing to do with government oversight or efficiency or the economy or the reality that Donald Trump is tanking the economy and the reality that Americans are as hell and are marching in the streets. And they're turning the Doge subcommittee into, apparently now, a fencing oversight committee. Welcome. We're not even going to call it the Doge subcommittee anymore. This is called the Fencing Oversight Committee. Welcome to the Fencing Oversight Committee. But in reality, we know this is all about bullying trans kids, as they are literally over on the floor debating renaming the Gulf of Mexico this week because they have no real agenda other than tanking the economy, taking away health care, taking away food out of the mouths of children, and basically distracting the American people while they prepare the largest tax break for billionaires ever in the history of this country. But it's not enough to just obsessively talk and think about trans people, which obviously are living rent-free in their minds. Donald Trump has put into place over a dozen executive orders and actions bullying trans people. Here, this committee is trying to take their own punch. They're trying to keep trans people from using bathrooms inside the Capitol. I mean, all of this is part of their regular playbook. Do really bad, evil things, and then distract the American people by doing ridiculous things in public spaces like this. So I am very grateful to Ms. Goss-Graves for being here to break through the noise, to talk about real issues that are affecting our communities, because among the things that affect women, girls, all people are the cuts to healthcare, the cuts to education, the cuts to vital programs that our people depend on. But what I think is so important is to highlight the ways in which using public spaces like this to bully trans people creates a lack of safety for the LGBTQ plus community. And so, Ms. Goss-Graves, can you talk about how exactly what's happening here today normalizes hate and how that translates into violence and hate against the LGBTQ plus community?
You know, this is exactly my deep worry. Over the last couple of years, we have seen in states around the country and now in this body and from the president using government to attack some of our most vulnerable people. And the hateful rhetoric translates to violence. It's trans young people who are experiencing violence in school. And it also means that we have seen an increase in incidents of suicide. So when I think about young people today who may be tuning in, I want to reaffirm that their existence is okay and that they are supported. But I also want to say very, very clearly, even though people have been spun up in this frenzy, that all the problems in the world are apparently now caused by trans folks existing, that is simply not true. Mm-hmm. And if we have a very serious and concerted effort to address rising costs, to address access to health care, to address the experiences that people are having in this country who are begging for help, this body actually could be doing that. In an oversight way, even. It would be especially important to hear this body do that so that we could have a conversation around what has the impact been for people in this country, for women and girls, because of Doge. Those are the things I hear about all the time.
Yes, thank you very much. And I also
the gentlelady's time has expired.
I also want to acknowledge
the gentlelady's time has expired. I now recognize Ms. McClain from Michigan.
Point of order.
You took a minute of my time, wasting my time on a non-point of order. The gentlelady's
Madam
time has
Chair, the
expired. I
clock
now
was
recognize
not running during the
Ms.
point
McLean
of order.
from
Point of
Your
Michigan.
time was not wasted. And to the trans
I now
community,
recognize
we
Ms. McLean
stand
from-
with you, with the
Madam.
LGBTQ plus community. We stand with you, and you can
Madam
break
Chair.
my eardrums all you want, Madam Chair, but we stand with the LGBTQ plus community, and you can gavel me till
Order. This
Cows
hearing
come
will
home and
come
it
to
won't
order.
stop it.
This hearing will come to order.
Madam Chair, I have a
This
question.
hearing will come to order.
Madam Chair,
This hearing will come to order. I now
a
recognize
point of order.
Ms. McLean
I
from
just
Michigan.
have a point of order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me tell you,
Madam Chair, I
Yeah.
had a
What's your
point of order. Could we just have the timekeeper, log the time between both the Democrats and Republicans, and then we rebalance them so that we each have equal time? That's pretty basic.
We will consider that. Thank you.
No,
But
no,
stop.
no. That's-
You took
that's-
a minute of my time.
that's not
All
a
right,
suggestion.
Okay.
Those are the rules.
Enough.
No.
You're wasting your
Hey,
time.
look,
That's
either,
not.
either we go
We
by
are
the
keeping
rules
equal
or we're
time.
out of.
It's absolutely infuriating that Republicans use protecting women as justification for targeting trans people while systematically eroding women's rights. Most survivors are harmed by someone they know, but scapegoating marginalized communities is a lot easier than dealing with the actual root causes of harm. What we're seeing from the Trump administration is textbook abusive behavior. They deny, attack, and then reverse the victim and the offender. The administration denies the harm that it's causing, goes after the credibility of survivor organizations, and then paints itself as the real victim targeted by radicals or woke mobs. But this isn't just spin. It's abuse coming from the highest levels of power. In 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice's Office for Victims of Crime reported that 50% of transgender individuals are sexually abused or assaulted at one point in their lives, with some reports estimating the figure might be as high as 66%, and even higher for groups such as transgender people of color or with disabilities. Of course, these stats have been scrubbed entirely from their website ever since Trump took office, because the word transgender has been removed from federal websites entirely by the Republican word police. So is women, by the way. Attacks on trans people have nothing to do with protecting anyone's rights or their freedoms. It is all about control.